Next one on here is, which I think is video number 9, which is how is the exchange rate determined? You should all know that it's determined by the supply and demand of sterling, just like any other good. Now, because in the UK we have a trade deficit, as we all know, in 2022, the trade deficit is 6% of GDP, right? Therefore, there's a natural tendency for our exchange rate to go down, as we can see on here. So we can draw this diagram quite easily in an exam. Make sure that you get these axes here right. Right. The reason why it falls is because every time we buy an import from abroad, we literally have to go to the bank, change our money from sterling into euros. So therefore, the bank will have more sterling, and that increases the supply of sterling. Because we have a trade deficit, then overall the value of imports being greater than the value of exports, then this should mean a downward movement in our exchange rate. But there are lots of things that affect the exchange rate. Foreign direct investment. If foreign direct investment flows abroad, then the supply of sterling will move to the right. Hot money. Low interest rate, hot money goes abroad, supply of sterling will shift to the right. Because once again, we'll have to go to the bank, change our sterling into euros and buy euros. If speculators sell sterling because they believe it will fall, because they want to make money out of it, then they will sell sterling and move into other currencies, and also because of a trade deficit. The UK exchange rate, as we all know, continues to fall. And then we get onto this idea of the beauty of floating exchange rates. Because we have a trade deficit, therefore our exchange rate will fall. Therefore our exchange rate will go down, price of exports will fall, price of imports will rise, and that creates cost-push inflation diagram. And then in very simple terms, the balance of payments will improve as long as the Marshall-Lerner equation holds. And we've also got the J-curve effect after that. You all know that we have a trade deficit. That's roughly it. The 4 variables: visibles, invisibles, primary income, secondary income. Okay, primary income is minus 30 billion quid. Remember, interest, profits and dividends. We've got loads of FDI now into the UK, which is a really good thing. But the profits will go back to those firms abroad. And this is why we now have a trade deficit of 6% of GDP. Sorry, that is incorrect. 6%. The role of long-term capital flows, you all know that, is FDI comes into the UK through the financial account, pays for our trade deficit. It does affect the primary account, but overall it's a good thing. It increases the underlying trend rate of growth. And it means we don't need to borrow money, which is obviously really good. Right, next bit up on here, exchange rates, demand, supply of sterling. Right, the demand can increase, inward FDI, increase in exports, speculators buying sterling, increasing in the interest rate, hot money coming into the UK, UK tourism hotspots. All these are reasons why people will want to, why the exchange rate will go up. Okay, so the exchange rate is determined by the demand and supply of sterling. Okay, this is a diagram here. Imagine if sterling goes down, that will mean a fall in demand for sterling and a rise in supply. Go through once more. Why would there be a fall in demand? A fall in exports, a fall in FDI coming into the UK, a fall in tourism, people coming into the UK. Speculators selling sterling because they believe that our economy is just a little bit stuffed. So right now, national debt is really high. Personal debt is really high. A lot of political troubles, Liz Truss's mad scheme. Okay, so this could all mean the demand for sterling falls. So therefore, the exchange rate will go down. Okay, but also if there's a rise in supply of sterling, it would also mean that the exchange rate will go down, e.g. trade deficit. Rise in imports, FDI going abroad, rise in tourism, etc., etc. Okay, and finally, how can governments influence the exchange rate? The Bank of England can raise interest rates, or the Bank of England can buy sterling, and then that would increase the exchange rate. I think that is probably it on this one. Okay, let's just do it, because we've already done it. Okay, a fall in the exchange rate. We've just been doing this right now. Fall in export prices, rise in import prices, because the trade deficit will move our exchange rate down. We can have an independent monetary policy. We don't need to manipulate the interest rate to protect the exchange rate, which is really, really good. And in a way, we can ignore the trade deficit because we just allow the exchange rate to fall, and then that will solve the problem. Okay, and then we've got the disadvantages, cost push inflation, could be demand pull inflation, and actually it's all about the supply side anyway. That is the most important thing. Next up.